Hello everyone. Today's video is about how to read the book How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. So this book is essentially the all-round social guide. On the back, it has a very, not sure what word it is I'm looking for, but there's some writing on the back that sort of inspires you to do something great. It says, you can go after the job you want and get it. You can take the job you have and improve it. You can take any situation and make it work for you. Dale Carnegie's rock-solid, time-tested advice has carried countless people up the ladder of success in their business and personal lives. One of the most groundbreaking guidebooks of all time, How to Win Friends and Influence People, will teach you the 6 ways to make people like you, the 12 ways to win people to your way of thinking, the 9 ways to change people without arousing resentment, and much, much more. Now you may think, right, what you're probably thinking is, that was very inspiring, but you can't manipulate people into thinking your way. That's a fixed mindset. Now obviously I'm not saying use this book for evil, manipulative purposes. Don't do that. Just use it to help yourself become more of a social being. It will improve your social life as it has done to mine. Don't say, this book won't help me, without even fucking reading it, alright? So, my way of reading this book sort of fits into Carnegie's preferred way that you read this book. Just let me quickly find the page. Nine suggestions on how to get the most out of this book. Just carry on a few more pages until you get bullet points from A to I. In order to get the most out of this book. A. Develop a deep, driving desire to master the principles of human relations. B. Read each chapter twice before going on to the next one. C. As you read, stop frequently to ask yourself how you can apply each suggestion. D. Underscore each important idea. E. Review this book each month. I say each week, in my opinion. F. Apply these principles at every opportunity. Use this volume as a working handbook to help you solve your daily problems. G. Make a lively game out of your learning by offering some friend a dime or $1 every time he or she catches you violating one of these principles. Oh, that's fun. H. Check up each week on the progress you are making. Ask yourself what mistakes you have made, what improvement, and what lessons you have learned for the future. And finally, I. Keep notes in the back of this book showing how and when you've applied these principles. Now, I think that is actually a very good summary of what I was going to say, my way of reading this book. So, the technique that I didn't quite read every chapter twice, but what I did is, and I want you to do the same, because this has greatly improved my social life, this book, and this method. The thing is, this method may not work for you, but there's no point in giving it a try. Alright, so the thing you do is You're meant to sort of read the whole book, skim over it, just skim every few pages and just read the principles and just skim even more. Then the second time you read it, you are meant to go into much greater detail and read it cover to cover, every single word. Both times I did that, I could do the same thing. So this is a universal technique that I have procured. So essentially you have to just look at a principle. For example, in the first section, fundamental techniques in handling people, principle 1, don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Now obviously you can criticize, but it's just saying do not criticize people to their face, for that will just bring more problems, which in fairness it will. As we all have personal experiences with that. Now what I do is, after reading that principle, don't criticize, condemn, or complain, I just trust me on this. You sit there in silence for 5 minutes thinking of as many things that you did that would undermine this principle, and think, what could you have done? What should you have done? And what you will do for next time. I mean, obviously hundreds of situations should just pop in your head instantly. I mean, when I hear don't criticize, condemn, or complain, I just think of all those times when I was a child and I complained about something to my mum. She would, obviously she would care and all that, but I don't think she was really that happy to deal with it. And when you criticize your friends, or just complain to them, or condemn them, just any of the three, the mood just lowers, doesn't it? The overall mood just sinks. Let's go to the next principle, the big secret of dealing with people, under the same chapter of fundamental techniques in handling people. Now, I've noticed a pattern. In the first 2 sections of this book, each chapter is about 8 to 12-ish pages. Perfect rep range in the gym. So, principle 2, give honest and sincere appreciation. Let's do the technique again. I want you to do this with me, but without the 5-minute silence, because that just get really boring. But give honest and sincere appreciation. I want you to sit there and pause this video. You can pause this video for maybe a minute or two and think, when did I undermine this principle? Give honest and sincere appreciation. Now that you've had time to think, if you want to hear mine, I thought of a time where I gave someone a fake compliment. Now, obviously, it is nice giving compliments, but if they don't mean anything, then it has a bad effect on you, because you get more used to giving fake compliments, and then at some point, and quite often, in fact, people do realise and catch on. You've got to truly try to enjoy the person's company and like them. Let's have a look at the next. I'm trying to think of what's the easiest ones to do for this video, because some of them do require a lot deeper thought. Hold on. Part 2, 6 ways to make people like you. Section 2, 6 ways to make people like you. Principle 1, become genuinely interested in other people. This one sort of speaks for itself, I think. I mean, it's pretty simple to understand this one, but just think. Every single person is, surprisingly, a person. They all have feelings, they all have thoughts, they all have interests and disinterests. If you become, or find a way to be genuinely interested in what people say and their character, you're bound to make more friends and more associates and allies. I'm not going to go through the whole book and read out every principle because that would be quite a long video. But I assume you get the gist of it. Now, there's one thing that I've missed out, and that's for a reason, because the people that have stayed, if any, because to be honest, these videos don't get many views at all, but I'm still going. Someday some people will find this video. But to those who have stayed, this is like 3 years in the future or something. To those who have stayed this far, a lot of people who don't really have proper attention spans and just get bored really easily, or don't want to learn that much, who don't compete with themselves, they read it, and they keep on reading it, and they keep reading it, and they keep reading it, without even attempting to do anything to improve themselves. I mean, they may do the thing that I've described in this video, but that is merely only a half. In fact, it's only a quarter of the effort. It's only a quarter of the effort. You heard me. Now, they stay in comfort because learning is comfort. People love to stay in comfort, but the ones who truly want to learn and better themselves go out of self-comfort. I mean, the people that go in the gym, for example, do you think the gym is comfortable? No, it's not. No, it's not, but we do it for a reason. To get stronger, to have more endurance, to in fact get smarter. And reading this book is the same, but for your brain. It's a mental workout to do this next part, and it's also a mental workout just to read in general, because I went up to a lot of people around my age, and most of them told me that they don't even read. Books, I mean, obviously they read on their phone, but they don't read books, which I find quite scary, to be frank. Almost a whole generation that don't even read. Anyway. Now, I've stalled what I'm going to say again for a reason, because only a few people will actually see this part. This is the most crucial part. I've stalled it because only the ones who truly want to learn and truly want to listen to people who have experienced, only them people will stick around. The real way to apply How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie is to go out and fucking do it. That's right, Shia LaBeouf this whole time was right. People will read the book and then brag about reading the book, but there is one key part that they've missed out. Applying. Now, there was a learning ladder in all the classrooms in school, and they had learning at the bottom and applying was at the top. Now, I'm not one for liking the education system, but, I've only just realised that they're actually teaching you to be social in school. They're trying, at least, because the teachers, I've realised that the teachers hate the system as well. They know it's a rat race. I even told my teacher, and then she said, "Yeah, I know it's ridiculous." So the teachers want to help you, as shitty as it sounds, and as shitty as some teachers can be. There are some good teachers who genuinely do want to help their students, not just for pay, because they get paid so shit. It's horrifying for how important they are to the rat race. It's fucking mental that they're getting paid less than fucking Lidl workers. Ugh. I'm sorry. That was the final test, okay? If you have stuck around, which I'm guessing either one or none have, okay? But in the hopeful case that someone has, you have to go out and apply it. You have to look at a principle. Let's skim through the book and pick out a random principle. Ooh, chapter 2, 6 ways to make people like you. Principle 4, be a good listener. Encourage others to talk about themselves. Now, that's an interesting one. That was completely at random. Flicking through the book. This is a good one to talk about. Be a good listener. You see, that may sound simple, but a lot of time in conversations, people are just waiting for their turn to speak. They're not even listening to what the other person's saying. Be a good listener. And it links back to principle 2 of fundamental principle... Which principle is it? It's just principle 1 in the same chapter. Principle 1, become genuinely interested in people. That links to be a good listener. To be a good listener, you have to become genuinely interested in people. And that principle speaks for itself. So, be a good listener. Being a good listener is being interested and not interrupting and not waiting for your turn to speak. Actually having what they're saying arouse a interest in you. So principle 4, be a good listener. Encourage others to talk about themselves. There is only one way to do this. To do this, you have to talk about the other person's interests and desires. Don't talk about yourself. If you're meeting a new person, you may think the best thing to do is introduce yourself and tell them everything about you, so you become best friends and all that. But no. Best thing to do, get them to talk about themselves. Because it will keep the conversation flowing. If you have a look at any, let's say, podcast between two people, the socially smarter one will apply this principle, as you know. More than 15 million copies sold. They've most likely read this book and they are applying this principle. Unless they grew up being social, they would have had to read this book. Because I didn't grow up social. And now I'm probably one of the most social fucking guys in my generation, man. It's ridiculous. So, encourage others to talk about themselves. You've got to... Okay, I'm not sure, because every person's different. You've got to find a way. You've got to meander yourself through into a way of finding out what the person likes. But you can't stall this. You can't say, "Oh, I'll probably learn over time, over the next couple of weeks." No, you've got to learn now, so you can actually apply this principle. Because this chapter is about 6 ways to make people like you, and the 6 principles are: become genuinely interested in other people. Principle 2, smile. Principle 3, remember that a person's name is to that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language. Principle 4, be a good listener. Encourage others to talk about themselves. Principle 5, talk in terms of the other person's interest. Principle 6, make the other person feel important and do it sincerely. They all fit into one another, my friend. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you.